Hello and welcome to Restore 2022. Today we're reading through the scriptures and we are in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 7 and 8. Chapter 7 deals with two important issues in the lives of the United Tribes of Israel: their king and their place of worship. And as we've said previously, that is very likely that the chapter relates to events which occurred later in David's reign, but they're not necessarily chronological. But we've got here one of the three appearances of the prophet Nathan in all of the scriptures. And through the prophet Nathan, God is addressing David's plan to replace the tent that God was dwelling, and David's dream house for God appears unimportant to God actually, but he rewards David for his sincere and honorable intention. And actually God does this by establishing a covenant with this well-meaning king. Now, and instead of David building a house for God, God is wanting to build a house for David's dynasty to preserve this Davidic reign. And this covenant is a special covenant that God made with David. David responds in humility. Look at verse 18. And with praise on behalf of the nation. And actually, he accepts God's plan, which indicates that the descendant of David will build the house. This house that this king has a vision for. So David does not abandon his dream. We know that he later on prepares by providing the successor with everything that is needed, whether it's plans, architectural or instructions, and the coordination of the temple services, even music and worship. We see that when we come to the book of First Chronicles. But it's worth stopping for a moment and looking at the connection that this portion of scriptures has with the rest of the biblical narrative, especially beyond David's reign as king. Now, next to the line is Solomon. He's turned to idolatry and he could have lost that dynasty, but because of the promises God made to David, the dynasty continues. Let's think of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. Even the disciples who looked to the Davidic dynasty for this ideal king with a messianic hope to solve the issue, the sin that the nation had. We'll address these in detail when we come to these portions of scriptures in the coming months. But we have noticed, for example, when we read the Psalms in the summer, that actually even the royal Psalms focus on this Davidic promise, especially that the king will be God's son, as it says in 2 Samuel 7:14. Israel itself often is called God's son in Deuteronomy, Exodus, Hosea. But in the Psalm, God's anointed, the king, as we read in Psalm 2, also gets this title. The New Testament applies all these texts to Jesus Christ. In him they find the one who is the fulfillment of all these requirements. Jesus comes from David's family. We know that from Matthew, opening chapter. Jesus is confessed as God's son in the text that quotes Psalm 2. Acts 13, Hebrews says that. And even Revelation declares Jesus as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Then when we come to chapter 8, we read about the conquests that brought the peace to Israel. Actually, there is a list here of different leaders and different groups. And these are all the places that David has defeated. Actually, this is a place where he has extended the strength, and it looks that Israel is stable now under David's kingship. But also David shows here to be that he's not only a capable warrior, but he's a good administrator and a good political leader. Join us tomorrow as we read chapters 9 and 10 of 2 Samuel.